I want to start and dwell a little on boundaries, especially as a female sports person, female support staff, and especially when we're talking of a culture such as ours, being very mindful. Um, I want to connect this to what we call the field theory in psychology. Okay. So, I want you all to imagine yourself in the center and you have circles and circles and circles, right? So the first circle is your immediate, that could be your immediate family and friends. Second who comes the acquaintance, and then you go round and round. That's how all our lives are, right? So we call this the field theory. Now, this is how we need to also work around with social media. Of course, you connect to people, which is brilliant. Like, for example, here I got to know Alap through Deckline, right? But there's also the not so good side that, there may be few mutual friends which we have in common. And this is been my personal experience where I've gone, oh, you know what, this guy has, or this person has we have few common friends. You end up adding them, and that's a huge mistake. And if you see someone, especially as a female, coming into your space, right, too much, you have, and we should take that, right. And this again comes to boundaries. Protect yourself and go, okay, do I want to put this person in limited profile? I learned it the hard way, right? So it's about, I think one thing I want to very clearly mention is saying no to others becomes essential, because then you're saying yes to yourself. If you keep saying yes outside, you're saying no to yourself. As females, we need to be very careful who we are accepting, what we're putting up, the kind of posts, the kind of comments. So these are things to be very mindful of, and especially with young female athletes and young sports professionals.
I'll add to this something, like as you were saying, this came to my mind. Professionals, female professionals, males as well, whatever posts you put, pictures, I think you should think of it 10 years down the line. This is a field, this is your bread and butter. Okay, you're going to be doing this till you're 60, 70, who knows, as long. So internet is forever. And I think as a male, if I'm a man, and if, let's say, in my friends' contacts, sometimes you see, these suggestions. I think some men do that. They just see the suggestion and they think, oh, nice face, showing with a selfie, some girl is smiling or just, doing something, looking bright. Okay, let me send a friend request. She looks pretty. Okay, this is not in college where you're just, standing and looking at girls and thinking, that one looks nice. Let's see if I can make conversation with her. So think twice before sending a friend request to somebody. I think we should not send private messages to any female contact, that is there. You should not send it. As a man, you shouldn't, because, there's no need. If there's something that you have to ask, you can call. Okay, and you have to first find out, are you calling that female because she's pretty, or are you calling her because she's a professional? Okay, I think that clarity has to be there. And I know something which, some students told me about a coach who at the bottom of a girl's picture she was standing, he said, oh, you look beautiful. And this was an older coach. Now we don't know the intention. He might have said it in a good intention, but whatever, all the others, what they said was, oh, that was so creepy. He's this creepy guy, who comments on young girls' pictures. Okay. Now we don't know what was the intention, but it's the intention versus action.
So again, completely agree with the both of you and Declan. Just adding to Declan's points. For example, let me give an example here. So if let's say an athlete needs assistance in a part of the world that I have not, I'm not going to be able to help him. But I know a certain clinic where some physio works, and I know that physio is good enough to sort of do the job. And I want to sort of refer the athlete to that physio. And I happen to find out someone who I happen to know on their website of the clinic. But here you have to be very, very clear about your intent. And like Declan was saying, just a random comment can be very, very confusing. And then 99% of the times, because of the way we are culturally programmed, we will perceive it in a very negative way. Let's just call it negative, and that is, I have to doubly make sure as a male colleague, I have to doubly make sure that I am sounding right when I write a text.
I'll just add to that before,
Yeah.
maybe like, what you said. So what Alok said now, about being mindful about the message. I'll give a easy thing for guys, before you send a message to a female who you don't know, and you want to connect for professional work or whatever, ask your wife and show the message to your wife or your girlfriend. I think that will be the best filter that you can get.
Then my second point is, again, social media is a very, it's a field where your activity will be tracked no matter what you do. Even if you are scrolling through few images on Instagram, Instagram sort of, or let's say Instagram, Facebook, whatever platform you're on, and you happen to double tap a picture, you happen to like a picture, if you like that picture, somebody else following that person is going to find out that you've liked that picture. And it happens so subtly that in the process of just scrolling through, you may happen to like something that may be inappropriate. And let's just say you are not in your senses and you're liking it. Maybe you are just listening to someone else while you are just scrolling, and then you happen to suddenly notice something that you like. And then that can just completely get, out of proportion when someone else who sort of has been an admirer of your work, or, who's looking up to you, and then suddenly finds yourself liking some sensitive post. And then imagine the image that can imagine what happens to your image then.
I'll add to this again quick that, something maybe with guys, sometimes it happens generally, or even professionals, using foul language in your posts, no matter how angry you are with something. Foul language can be very, very tricky. Okay, like what you wouldn't use in a meeting or with your employer or with your parents, not to be used on social media. Okay. And here I'll add something quickly. Sometimes people, some men, women, they have this belief that, oh, I'm not a double-faced person. I'm like, the same everywhere. Okay, I'm like exactly the same on social media, and I'm the same outside as well. Okay, and that is just a lie to yourself. Okay, that's why there's something called private behavior. There's private property. There's private parts. Okay, and there's private so many things. And then there's public. Okay, so this thing about like, oh, I'm a straight-faced person. Not a mask. We all wear a mask. Professionalism is a mask. It's about getting the job done though. Okay, so don't think of yourself just because you use foul language as if you're some cool gangster who doesn't care. The only difference it will make is to you. Okay, there are young students who will be teaching, their parents will be watching you. Okay, and they are just going to think, is this person crazy or something? So foul language, I think, in public places is very tricky, very, very tricky. It's wrong. Let's not put it even tricky. It's wrong.
As Declan and Alap were talking, my experience as a female sports professional is becoming very vivid. And I just wanted to give a couple of, pointers here and probably share experience, especially to those who are just coming in, who are coming in new, or also for the younger female athletes per se. I've had sports professionals say, let's meet, and there's nothing sporty about it. And also, don't just ask, young female athletes, young female sports professionals, or not so young as well. I'm not like, in my 20s to be asked that way. And, this is not a place for you looking, I don't know what was suggested.
It's not a dating site. Let's put it that way.
When I was with one of the national teams again, where there were some room issues. And I remember the coach telling me, I'm going to say the quote in Hindi and then translate it. Ab mere quarters mein le lo. So he literally said, you can take the session in my quarters. And I said, no. I said, I will not do that. You will provide a room for me. As you people were talking also, what was coming to mind was, this mask that we were talking of, right? So in fact, this Japanese have this concept where they say each one has 3 faces. So one is your social face, which is, like for the world. Second is your, I think they call it the family face, which is for your close circle. And then they say the third is only for you. It's only you know your deepest self. So it's you sit with it. So I think it's very essential to go, okay, when I take away everything when I'm by myself. And then when I'm going out, I put on this, I wouldn't use the word mask as such, but I would probably say, yeah, my social role. Or, my professional role, side. Because it gives you that recognition as to what is it that I'm doing in intent, like we've been discussing. The intent comes out. I can't just, if I'm cleaning my room, I can't just come out like that and say, okay, I'm going to take a session, right?
Absolutely.
That's not going to happen.
And I think with what you said about what people put is how much skin do you show? Because sometimes I think that is, it's a sensitive topic, but, I think it's a common fact, that the more skin that is shown, the more likes you'll get or the more popular. And that happens in movies and every place, okay, right? But actors who do that, okay, or sometimes you have these, models who do when a car is launched. There's a new car launch happening and there's two pretty models standing in short skirts, okay? They are paid for that. They have accepted that role. It's a professional agreement. Now, what does a pretty model there wearing short skirts have to do with the car, okay? It is just the fact that it looks much more attractive. But then that is something which is a professionally agreed relationship there. But if you as a man or as a woman are, going to sort of expose, you have to be knowing, what is it? Everybody has their own right. Nobody has a right to judge others and say, you should dress up this way. Because next thing you'll be saying, somebody would say that, oh, are you being the moral police? Obviously not. I think the moral policing has to be your own responsibility with society you live in, where you are. Somebody can't say that, no, I like to wear shorts and I like to sort of wear a maybe sports bra and I'll do that in Saudi Arabia. Okay, one can't just say that, right? Because there you have to follow the norms of that country. In India, it's a democracy, but there are certain cultural norms. There are sometimes things which are unsaid. You have to take that into mind. The other choices, don't take that into consideration. Do what you want, maybe wear clothes and be prepared for the consequences. But you can't, be saying that I'll do what I want and then say, oh, but why do these men look at me this way? Or why does this guy, it's your choice. So nobody says don't dress up this way or this way, but you should know what you're getting into.